Comics League Movie Night. I'm Jared, and today we are talking about the third movie in the Matrix Trilogy. Yeah, I said trilogy. I said that intentionally. So let's bring in the boys. We got the Matrix fanboy.
I am Phoenix!
What's up, dude? And I just remembered I have to go put on some sunglasses. But in the meantime, let's bring in the other guy.
All the hopes and dreams of Krypton live in you now.
Teladia.
Yes.
So in the meantime, while I go grab some sunglasses, you guys talk real quick.
Okay, so
Okay.
this is the conclusion to the Matrix trilogy, obviously, and so this one is probably the most divisive sans one that will not be named. And basically, I think the reason why some people give a little bit more leeway to Reloaded and not Revolutions is because Reloaded takes place mostly in the Matrix, and even if you're not a fan of the story, at the very least, Reloaded still delivered on like the Matrixy action that people loved. Whereas Revolutions kind of doesn't. Like, there's a few scenes, like the coat check scene is amazing. I think that's great. But like the back half of this film is it's a very backloaded film where it has like, them trying to fight and it's great scenes, well done, but it might not necessarily be the Matrix you came for.
Yeah, I'm still the thing about this movie that I thought was kind of weird is the part where he has powers outside of the Matrix too. Like he could see Agent Smith when he was blinded, and I'm like, well, that's odd.
Well, let me allow me to explain then. So Neo is the one. He is directly tapped into the machine's systems. He's basically a mod. He has like mod powers, not necessarily like think of the. He's basically he has the same privileges as like a mod or an admin. And the architect is like a super admin, basically. So the squids are still connected to that same, system. So that part is easily explained. As far as Smith, I think that's kind of when you start getting into maybe spiritual or just like the energy of I'm kind of pulling it on my butt here, but like yeah.
Yeah, see, that's the part where it gets a little odd is when he sees him, because I'm like, because here's the thing. I get that part, Nick. I get that. It's just when he's able to see Agent Smith, despite being blind, he sees him in like that weird thermal vision. He could see him as Agent Smith. That's a little odd. And what's up, Brown?
I will say, when he goes to the machine world and you can kind of see the stuff running through, that I will say, because that is directly connected to the machines. And so that makes sense.
Part's fine. I get that. It's just the Smith part that's a little BS on my part, at least.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Of the three, this one is my least favorite. Now, I in no way do I mean I hate it. It's just if I had to rank these three on a 1 to if I had essentially, I like all these three movies. I just like this one the least because of these really weird things.
Yeah, I could see that.
But to be clear, it's still a fun movie. I love it.
Also, hey, Brown Destroyer, what's up, buddy?
Yeah. Great highlights. So all right. So Nick, do you have any big like trivia? Oh, by the way, so the way this is going to work is that next week we will be covering Animatrix, and either next week or even this week in the last half of the stream, I'll talk to Nick about why he hates the non-existent fourth Matrix movie. So
it might be next week because I gotta dip out around 7:45ish because I gotta stream myself at 8.
Which is fine. And by the way, so next week may have to be on a Sunday instead of a Saturday because I got something I have to do on Saturday. But
also speaking of next weekend, John Wick 4.
Hell yes!
Oh yeah.
So don't be surprised if next weekend we also talk a little bit about John Wick 4.
Oh heck yeah, we got to. In fact, you know what, Nick? This is unrelated to Matrix or John Wick, but I feel it's appropriate.
This is the way. This is the way. This is the way.
This is
This
the
is
way.
the way.
All right, so fun facts time.
Okay, go
So
ahead.
in this movie, I don't know if you noticed, but there's a different Oracle.
Yeah, I did notice that, as a matter of fact.
So the reason for that is the original Oracle sadly passed away between the two films, and the one they got to replace her actually worked with her in theater.
Okay.
And they did kind of explain it in the second movie where like the Merovingian wants the Oracle's eyes and like her time is running out. So it's basically the Merovingian is the one responsible for making her get a new face. Also, the Christian symbolism was really on point when they went to the Merovingians club, where like it's like the story where they had to go to hell to save their friend.
Well, plus also at the end of the movie, when Neo air quote dies, he falls backwards on the machines in a Christ T pose.
Not only that, but if you look closely, when Smith simulates him, you see the light, and it's in the shape of a cross.
Yeah, exactly. So this is massive, like Christian symbolism.
I mean, it always has been. Neo has been. I mean, heck, in Reloaded, he's basically wearing a priest outfit.
Yeah, the only thing I have to say to that, Nick, and I'm glad you said it because I didn't get a chance to say this last week.
What would you prefer? Yellow spandex?
No, I prefer leather, all the leather.
No, but as soon as you said like a priest outfit, here's the thing. I'm glad you mentioned that this week because last week I never got a chance to play that clip when you set me up for that.
I mean, in Brown Destroyer, even the architect literally says to him that he is the one, the one, and we're going back to that scene in Reloaded, where basically the one is basically the sum remainder to balance the equation. Like it's 13 R5. It's whatever. The one is the R5 because basically what the architect said is there are some people who no matter what would just naturally not accept the Matrix. And so the one is basically another form of control for those kind of people.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's cool. That's the thing I like about the Matrix stuff is that there's so many layers that you can take to analyzing these films. It's a very layered movie, to quote, what's the word? To quote Shrek. It's very layered with onions.
I mean, that's really why I've loved these films for so long, and there's different interpretations upon it. There's been a more modern interpretation that I don't necessarily agree with, but that's people's interpretation, and it's just as valid as my interpretation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about, but we'll talk about that later. But in terms of okay, now I will say again, this movie had some pretty decent action scenes. It took place. Most of the movie was taking place outside of the Matrix in the real world, if you will.
In Zion, which by the way, another Christian analogy.
Yeah, exactly. Zion.
Nebuchadnezzar is another. There's so much Christian symbolism in all these movies.
Yeah. Another thing I really want to talk about is I love those suits that the humans use to fight the machines that I think they're called AMPs.
Yeah, armored personal units.
And let me pull up a picture of these because they are so cool. The way they have the guns on the back and they just retract them. And honestly, the CGI of the AMPs actually looks pretty decent for when this movie came out. Hang on, let me pull up the image in the meantime. All right, yeah, I mean, and that's the thing also about this movie is that the VFX also, for the most part, even in the other Matrix movies, holds up really well. Here's the AMP.
That very much looks like a power loader. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it does. They were somehow inspired by a power loader. And then what I love is that they use these as turrets, like essentially the robots, the squids, finally breach Zion. They dig a hole into Zion, and you see these the AMPs are just aiming their guns up at the hole, and when they come through, they just light them up. And then you have people in carts that bring ammo to each robot.
Also, I have a fun fact about Captain Milfoon, but I'm double checking it right now to see if I'm actually correct. Because
you don't want to be accused of fake news, Nick.
I'm none.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just gonna go out and say it because like the thing's taking a while to load. So the actor for Captain Milfoon, you know, like the guy, like the leader guy, he if you're a Power Rangers fan, you might actually recognize him because I believe he's on either Jungle Fury or Ninja Storm.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Nathan Lee's the actor who plays Captain Milfoon.
Nathan Lee's.
Yeah, he plays Master Mao in Power Rangers Jungle Fury.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's just kind of like a little fun fact for you guys, you know, because like we don't really talk about Power Rangers too much, but I figured it was kind of important to bring up.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that. I like seeing what all these different actors. I like seeing essentially like the other roles that these actors play.
Yeah, and then like we're gonna be talking about Animatrix. We're gonna be talking about Animatrix. You know, next weekend. This kind of stuff we didn't really touch upon in the Reloaded part, but like the story about like the kid. His origin is actually one of the Animatrix shorts, and he's kind of like a disciple of Neo and whatnot. You know.
Oh, you mean the kid who was bringing ammo and wanted to join a crew?
Yeah, you see him in the second movie, and you know, it's like, Neo, you saved me. He's like, I didn't save you, kid. You saved yourself. You know, he's referencing the Animatrix story.
Okay. So we'll get more information on that story later. That's cool.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because we really talk about it Reloaded. I wanted to kind of do it justice here.
Yeah, that makes sense. That works. So, all right. So in terms of like, okay, so and what's cool about this movie is that it's basically one long action scene at this point. It's like they're like, okay, let's just go balls to the wall and just like deliver a satisfying conclusion. It could have been just a conclusion if Warner Brothers had not been Warner Brothers and said, we're going to make this movie with or without you, which, by the way, I think that even though this isn't Matrix again, it is appropriate for this situation. Hang on. Where is that clip? It's never where I need it for some reason. It's like it moves. It's like it has a brain of by itself, and it's like
a mind of its own.
Yeah, it's like at Warner Brothers.
Oh wow! So you're having a deja vu?
Yeah, exactly. But
sorry, I had to bring it back to Matrix.
And again, so we get this whole idea. I will say what's kind of funny. The actor who plays Bane, you know what's kind of funny when I noticed when I was watching this movie. He even captures Hugo Weaving's like speech cadence. So, so he sells that it's Agent Smith within the dude's body as he's speaking. Because like,
yes, he really does. Like, not necessarily like the tone of the voice, but like the speech patterns and the cadence, he freaking nails.
Like, what if I don't want to remember? What if
look into the eyes of your
I know. It's like whoa. And then this is something I just noticed now, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they nailed it.
Yeah, and can we just talk about like that final fight scene between Smith and Neo? It's just so good.
Where he oh yeah, the final one in the Matrix.
Yeah, and like that music, like da, 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 da. It's just like, oh my god.
Oh heck yes! Again, this movie has this movie series. I mean, when I was watching the documentary for the making of Matrix 1, they mentioned that they were like heavily inspired by comic books and such, and I'm like, oh yeah, it definitely shows. It definitely shows because a lot of this is like a mix of Dragon Ball Z and like any type of comic.
It's a Superman fight. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah, it is definitely Superman. Which is like, why I always say
this is how I want Superman fight to be. Like, this is how I always imagine Superman fighting. Like I feel like this. Okay, this is gonna be a hot take. All right, JJheat. Oh, JJheat's not here, so I gotta take up the reins for him for one moment. I'm gonna be the one to bring the heat. The last fight scene is this fight scene is literally the best Superman fight scene ever put to film. This is better than anything Snyder has done. This is literally the best Superman fight scene ever.
Well, he's doing his Superman thing.
I'm surprised you didn't boot me off the stream for that.
No. I was preparing for that, but I'm close to because how dare you, sir? That the last fight in Man of Steel, him showing up in Zack Snyder's Justice League and beating the crap out of Steppenwolf.
I mean, that's number 2. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, whoa.
Oh, that's going a bit.
Oh my gosh.
I
Nick,
said
the
Man of Steel is
betrayal.
number 2. Matrix Revolution is number 1.
The betrayal. Oh my gosh. Oh my god! But yes, I do agree. With me, it's the reverse. It's Zack Snyder and then Neo. Because yes, I agree with you. It is totally a Superman fight scene through and through, through.
Just like the way like they impact each other and like the water goes and like when he like throws that punch and you see like the clay kind of thing. Like these are shots that I wish I could see with Superman.
When he takes off, how he just goes down first and they just shoots up, and I'm like, and he has his hand up like he's Superman. They even said he's doing a Superman thing. So there you go.
Yeah.
But again, you could clearly see the comic book inspiration, and that's why when Nick said he wanted to cover the Matrix Saga, and by saga I mean 1, 2, and 3, and then the Animatrix, I was like fine with it, because even though it's not based on comics, any specific comics, it is a comic book movie. It is 100% still a comic book movie.
So I gotta wind things back. So we had the character of Link, and he's the brother of Tank and Dozer. So Dozer did survive, but like the actor was kind of hard to work with, so he wasn't invited back. So he kind of died off screen. I guess you could say Link. It was a link to the past.
Yeah, nice.
I'm sorry, I literally brought up that segment just so I could do that joke.
I'm sure you did. But and by the way, you know who else in this movie? Gina Torres from Firefly.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, it's what's her name in Firefly again?
Also, I'm surprised you haven't mentioned the fact that Martian Manhunter is in this movie.
Oh yeah, exactly. Martian Manhunter.
I was waiting for you. I was waiting for you to bring that up.
I was getting there, Nick. I was getting there.
Come on, like
I was getting there, dude.
Like a panther.
Also, what is Perry White doing in Zion?
Yeah, I know. It's really weird. So many of these characters. Did you know John Wick is in this movie?
Really?
John Wick. Let's see who else is in this movie.
They got Jenny Hogarth from Jessica Jones in it. That's so crazy.
I know, dude. It's also Elrond is in this movie. It's
Holy
unbelievable. Crap. So many. This is like a multiverse movie.
A multiverse of madness.
Yeah, this is the multiverse. This is what the multiverse of madness should have been. But again, so dope. And it is weird seeing all these different actors in this show up, and then knowing.
I mean, Fish Mooney is Morpheus's girlfriend for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
Fish Mooney from Gotham.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I thought you meant the actual Fish Mooney.
No, I was talking about Fish, because Jada Pinkett Smith plays Fish Mooney in Gotham.
And apparently, there's probably a deleted scene of someone insulting Jada Pinkett Smith, and then her husband getting up and slapping someone.
Too soon.
I had to say that. So, Teladia, your thoughts on Matrix 3?
I enjoyed it, actually. Really did. I watched it again for the third time in a long time, would you believe? I thought the action scenes were great. And he is the one. He is definitely the one. And the whole the whole fight scene between Agent Smith and Neo, great. And also, like, I don't understand one part of the film.
What?
The outside the Matrix fight. I don't understand that bit.
Yeah, you mean where he's able to see him outside of the Matrix. Again, he's able to see Agent Smith inside the body.
Yeah.
I don't get that. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it really confused me.
I mean, like, I could kind of come up with an inspiration, but I'd be pulling it out of my butt, so I'd rather not.
Yeah, it's like,
because I don't have anything that's backed up by evidence. I would just kind of come up with something on the spot.
Yeah, that's the only part of this movie that doesn't really add up for me, where I'm like, okay, that's a bit odd. But again, but overall, it's still it's not enough to like draw me out of the movie and say it's bad. For some reason, Nick, you explain to me, why do people think the 2 and 3 are bad?
I mean, probably because well, while the stunts and the action, at least on Reloaded's part, are on par, I think because the Matrix 1, for even though they call it an intellectual movie, if you really go and look at the ideas presented in the movie, they're really not that hard to discern. Like, you don't like, whereas Reloaded and Revolutions, the philosophy they espouse, it kind of takes a little bit like, I'm gonna pull a Rick and Morty here, so God forgive me. You kind of have to have a higher IQ to really grasp what they're trying to do. Lord help me.
In other words, you can't be an MCU viewer. I had to.
I'm sorry. I just pulled a Rick and Morty. I do apologize. That was
fine.
really. I'm sorry. I'm dying of cringe right now. So, dying from cringe at my own comment. But anyway, like the Matrix 1 never really had entire scenes dedicated to talking about the philosophy. It was always wrapped up either in action or in the story. Like, even when he's talking to the Oracle, that scene while talking about philosophy is still moving the story forward. You know, versus like if you go to Reloaded, that scene where they're talking about the machines, that scene really isn't moving the story forward. In fact, the movie kind of stops dead in its tracks to talk about philosophy.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, here's the thing: you can't go too philosophical with movies, honestly.
Plus,
Because
the architect scene was a bit of a mind frick. Let's be honest. That scene is kind of it's a Ryan Johnson level subversion. Yet,
nice.
but I will say that within the context of the trilogy, they do make it work.
Yeah, that's true. It's just, again, with the general audience, you can't go this like deep into philosophy because honestly, it's a little hard to keep track and understand sometimes.
I mean, even I'm a self-professed like Matrix mega fan, and even I don't even claim to have a full grasp on the full philosophy of the films.
Which again, that encourages you to engage more with the content, and that's important. In fact,
Yeah.
Zach put a line in Army of Thieves where the dude where the safecracker goes, in order to understand someone's work, you have to engage with it. And I'm like, that's great. That's 100% true.
I mean, you could say that, like, I mean, say what you will about Snyder, but his films at least have some sort of philosophy behind it. Like, for example, you want to go to Batman v Superman. Like the whole message of Batman v Superman is, should we trust this person with unlimited power? Like this God among men, you know, like his films actually do present a little bit of a moral quandary, and I do feel like it's lost upon a lot of people.
Yeah, when I was on Nerdette's stream talking about the Snyderverse, I said, here's the thing about the Snyderverse, which you don't realize. The whole theme of all three movies is choice. Because you have, in Man of Steel, it's do you have the choice of being who you want to be in a society where everything is preordained? BVS, BVS is really, do you choosing to be a hero despite the fact that the population doesn't trust you? And Zack Snyder's Justice League, obviously you have the choice with the anti-life equation.
Yeah, and then like in Batman v Superman, the choice is also the choice between the two parties, and I mean the final battle, the choice is kind of made for Clark for him a little bit, and it's devastating. I mean, even look at some of his other films, like I think choice is really the defining theme of Zack's work, because like you look at Watchmen, deals with choice. Sucker Punch, it deals with choice.
Army,
you know? Yeah.
I mean, the Dead kind of. Tevia says, which fun fact, actually, this movie did get a different ending with the Path of Neo game.
That is correct. Do
you want to explain that, Nick?
I've never really. It's basically a very video gamey ending, where where Smith becomes like this giant like thing for Neo to fight.
Oh boy! So
but
yeah,
like what's really cool,
video game.
What's really cool is you got the Wachowskis. They actually come on screen and it's like, oh, the ending fight. It's lame. It's actually their voices and it's talking to you. It's actually kind of funny.
Yeah,
I do recommend Path of Neo. Like, it's a really good game. It's for PC, PS2, and Xbox. So you can pretty much probably emulate it if you have either a PC or a handheld capable of PS2 emulation, that's the way to do it.
Well, if it's on original Xbox and it's backwards compatible, I can throw it into my Xbox.
I'm not sure if it's backwards compatible, but I don't think it is. Path of Neo backwards compatible.
Path of Neo backwards compatible.
No, this game cannot be played on Xbox One.
Well, how about on 360?
This path? No, you cannot play it on 360.
That sucks.
Yeah, so
Well, I'm sure I can play it on PC too if I find it on PC.
Well, there literally was a PC version, so if I'm sure if you sailed the high seas, or honestly, the best way to do it is probably just pop it get the PS2 version, then pop it into a PS2 emulator. Because PS2 emulation has really come a long way, and it's really not that difficult.
Mhm.
And so just play it on the PS2 emulator. That's my best advice.
Yeah. So now, okay. So in terms of also with this movie, another thing I definitely one thing this movie very much communicates, which the best I think is why humanity was like getting its ass kicked for years, because the robots are legit a threat in this. Like they swarm and destroy. It's like, yeah, you can like it's because also, and they say this in the movie, we've calculated in all the projections that at the minute the machines breach Zion, it's practically over.
Yeah.
And I like that. There's definitely a sense of a threat. And okay, I also like how it shows a little bit. One of the other scenes I like is when Neo and Trinity are approaching Machine City. They kind of go above the clouds, and you finally see they finally see the sun for the first time, because the outside has been like smogged over because of the nukes and stuff, which is cool. And then, yeah, the thing about it is that, okay, so I mean, I wish they had just left it at the way it ended, with like Neo and Trinity die. That's it. That's kind of it. But in turn, I mean, yeah, but it's weird. But so Nick, let me ask you this: what's your favorite scene of this movie?
Oh, probably the coat check fight scene. I just love how it's really inventive, where like they go on top of the wall, like they go on the ceilings, and it's like okay, yeah, that's cool. And like I like how it ends with Trinity doing her Matrix kick at the end. That was kind of a nice little like callback.
What about you, Teladia?
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. What were you saying? Sorry?
What?
What's your favorite scene in this movie?
I would have to say favorite scene is him and Agent Smith fighting.
That is a good scene.
That's my favorite scene.
That is true. It's, in other words, the Superman fight again.
No, don't compare it to Superman fight.
Hey,
oh yeah,
channel,
there really is no comparison because it's better.
Oh man, Nick lost connection. I don't know what happened. It's really weird, right, Teladia?
Yeah, it's really weird.
Oh, you're back. Wow.
Worth it.
Anyway.
I mean, my favorite is probably the Agent Smith fight, because I'm a big fan of like big bombastic comic book style like fight scenes, and all the scenes that take place like in like the human world, if you will, particularly like where we start to see the machine world. Because correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, this is the first time we're seeing the machines like home base.
We've seen the fields, like we've seen like pictures of like the fields, like the crops and like that kind of stuff, but we've never seen Machine City.
Well, yeah.
Also, I really find it interesting that the machines take the face of a baby.
Oh, yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that is 100% true. It's also very weird. Well, then again, it's like the humans are practically grown in the tanks, right? At this point, because they refer to like some of them as like podborns as opposed to like natural born.
I mean, Morpheus literally says, "Human beings are no longer born; we are grown."
Yeah, which is kind of wonder. I wish they went into detail about how the machines do that, or is that in the Animatrix as well?
Not really sure. I know, like, basically they liquefy the dead to feed them to the living as, like, kind of thing. Yeah, I'm not really sure. It might be some sort of like, probably some sort of in vitro fertilization kind of thing. I'm not really sure. I'd have to think about, kind of basically speculate on what the process could be. I have no hard evidence. I could just speculate though.
True. Yeah. Okay. Maybe it's something they can go into in more detail later. And then Tevia says the critics did bash this movie to hell. Sadly, well, the critics
They really
sucked, that's
did.
why.
Reloaded got some credit because it had a lot of the Matrixy action scenes in it. So like the people who watch the movie specifically for that type of action, they were fine. Like the people who didn't even care about the philosophy, they just like the action. Like they got what they came for. So Reloaded is looked upon slightly more favorably. But the problem is Revolutions doesn't really have as much of that kind of action in it. So it like the reason why Revolutions gets hated upon is it really doesn't please either crowd.
Which I get it, because here's the thing: part of this, like the main draw of this movie, this saga,
Trinity's tight vinyl pants.
Well, that's true. That's 100% true, and I'm not going to debate that. Is the bombastic and really incredible action scenes, and when you have less of that, yeah, people are going to look upon your project a tad more harshly.
And not enough of Trinity's tight vinyl pants.
Oh yeah, 100%. Who doesn't want to see that? Be honest, Nick. Is that partly why you don't like the fourth movie?
Well, it's one of two reasons: left cheek and right cheek.
Yeah, I'm sure. And by the way, so we'll talk about that. I mean, let me put it this way: if you guys want, we can briefly touch upon why Nick does not like Matrix 4 now, or we can save that for the Animatrix.
We're half an hour in, and we're pretty much done with our Revolutions talk. So I think we're gonna stop. Let's stop pretending a fourth movie exists. Let's rip out the Band-Aid.
So here's the thing.
I got a question for Nick.
Teladia wants to say something.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is this Matrix 4 worse than Gotham Knights, or Gotham Knights worse than Matrix 4?
He hasn't seen Gotham Knights.
Based off of what I have seen, Gotham Knights is worse.
What?
Gotham Knights is worse. For all my blustering about Matrix 4, at least Matrix 4 was trying to do something. At least they were attempting to do something. I mean, they failed in the most spectacular way possible, but I'll at least grant them there was an attempt. Gotham Knights is just lazy and honestly any other pejorative you can think of.
That's just a CW for you, dude.
That's a good question, though, Nick. Jared,
Gotham Knights is worse. That's my verdict.
For me, it's Gotham Knights because I like I joke, but if I imagine Gotham Knights as a Matrix simulation, then it's a really lazy ass Matrix simulation.
I mean, honestly, that would make more sense because, like, maybe the machines don't have access to Batman comics and they're like doing their best. Yeah. That's me just trying to rationalize.
Yeah. So Nick, I want you to explain. I'm going to give you 100% the word of mouth that there's no right or wrong answer because ultimately it just comes down to like personal preference. Okay. Why don't you like Matrix 4? Go.
I don't like Matrix 4 because it's basically it takes everything that made the Matrix great and throws it out the window. It takes all the philosophy, all the meaning, everything. The action is very uninspired. The story is it's stupid. I mean, I hate to be so brash, but it's just plain out stupid. You know, just like, oh, we can't have Trinity and such meat. You know, it's just, I don't know, like.
All right, so the reason why I like it, or at least the way okay, the only part that I really didn't like is where Trinity all of a sudden got one powers, like flying and stuff, and I'm like,
Well, that's your modern politics for you. That's your modern.
Yeah,
politics.
immediately I was like, I'm gonna chalk that up to modern politics. But the reason why I like it is because I mean, I kind of like the whole idea where like they make you think, like in the beginning, it's like, oh, the Matrix is actually a video game the entire time. And then obviously he's in like a double. He's in the Matrix again. Then it's It's kind of like, I mean, I like the again. I like the idea of him. Like it's basically he's it's like the first three movies were a video game, and then it's like you start to unravel it, and you're like, okay, no, it's actually a new version of the Matrix that was like rebooted. And I do like how they brought back Sati, except older.
I mean, that's fine. Like I get no problem with Sati coming back. That's fine. Like she's basically Sati is basically the Oracle in this thing. She's the Oracle of this movie. See, if I were to kind of improve it, I'd say one of the biggest problems is the Smith character should have been played by Hugo Weaving, and then it could have been then it would have turned into a Hitchcockian bomb under the table kind of scenario where it's like, wait, what's going? It would have added more intrigue. Like, I'm sorry when it was revealed that character was like Agent Smith, and like, I'm sorry that actor could not act like Agent Smith. And it was like
he could not. I'll agree with you on that one.
But like, it would have been a better thing where it's like it was Agent Smith, but then like maybe like his code was changed. It's like gives it more doubt. It gives like because you only really have like 5 minutes with him as Agent Smith, and then that's the whole thing versus like the entire first half of the movie. Because because even if you defeat him, even at that time, it's still a resolution for a character arc instead of just like 5 minutes as, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It gives you more time to like really delve into that whole story rather than just like, oh, he's Agent Smith. Oh, okay, and then he's dead anyway. It's like versus if he was played by Hugo Weaving, and just whatever way they decided to play it, it would have been better because people would have had more time to engage that story. Like, is he evil? Is he bad? And then by the time he got killed, even if it was at that same point, it still would have been a satisfying resolution to that story.
And by the way, yeah, you talked about that, Tevia. I don't like it because, I mean, it doesn't make the way they did it in Matrix 3 doesn't make sense.
I mean, if we're gonna engage with it as is, because really the only problem that like you have with a fight is him seeing him. If we're just gonna like just kind of pretend that that's okay,
then it's fine.
Then I think it's a fine scene. But like that is like the sight aside, I think it's a fine scene. And I personally have no problem with the sight, but I'm just trying to like take that one glaring thing out of the equation.
Yeah, but I'm just saying the reason why I don't like that is because it breaks away from the logic already established in the universe. Because I get like he can control the machines themselves. I got that, and that makes a whole lot of sense. It's just Agent Smith is not in the thing. I mean, unless you could do it like he's still like a computer simulation uploaded to a human being, and that's why he could see it. Maybe you can kind of explain it that way, but it's just weird.
Yeah, and it's like there's other things like the Merovingian surviving Matrix purges, like that makes perfect sense to me because he's done it many times before, so whatever. But like turning him into like a boomer, you know, kind of like he just shows up for one scene, does all like the boomer talking points about art and whatnot, I just thought was kind of stupid and on the nose. I don't know, and like the whole meta aspect just was like, I get what they're like I said, I get what they were trying to do, and I give Lana Wachowski some points for what she was trying to do. Like I give her respect for at least trying something different. I'll give her some points.
And here's the thing: at the very least, one of the Wachowskis was involved, because too many times they bring back these projects after a while and they don't involve the original creatives at all.
But you could kind of tell her heart wasn't in it. I'm going to be
True.
honest with you. And also, if you look into the story, I don't know if this is like the confirmed story, but apparently the Warner Brothers approached Lana and said, we're going to make this movie with or without you. And so she made it. I guess it was kind of an FU to Warner Brothers, which if you look at the story of the movie, you can kind of really see that narrative.
With the game, and he goes, yeah, they're making the game with or without us.
Like, I get the idea. I get the attempt. I give points for trying something originality, but it just didn't work.
Yeah, second Warner Brothers.
That is appropriate. That is appropriate.
That's basically the entire movie when you think about it right there.
Like, I'm trying to be generous here. I give her points for at least trying something. But it just didn't work, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, okay, that's fine. And again, I enjoy it. It's kind of funny. My dad has not seen the original 3 in years, and I showed him this one, and he was lost.
Because the movie was so obsessed with what came before. The movie was so obsessed with walking backwards, it forgot to walk forwards. Like, the movie did not push forward the story. It did not progress any new ideas, any new themes, anything really new. It was basically just, I'm gonna get really crass here, and Jared, you're probably going to bleep this. It is nostalgic mass.
Yeah, it kind of is that.
As soon as I said math, you're like, yep, bleep.
Yeah, I was like, no, because what happens? As soon as you said you were gonna get very crass from it, I had my mouse hovering over you in the. Yeah.
That's why I gave you that forewarning.
I appreciate that. If you have to do it in the future, that's the way we'll do it. But anyway, yeah, I get that, because the thing that annoys me the most about a lot of these movie studios is that they oftentimes play too hard into the nostalgia period, which is this, or like the way they characterize Superman, because again, they characterize to like the people that only like Christopher Reeves and think he is the only legitimate version of Superman. I mean,
and you know my answer to that. It's like everyone says they wanted Christopher Reeves Superman.
Yeah.
And they gave people then Warner Brothers gave him Christopher Reeve Superman for Superman Returns, and not a lot of people showed up.
I brought that into an argument. I brought that into my debate with Tristan about like Lois Lane, because part of it was like because I brought up like how that exact argument, Nick, and then the person I was debating was basically like, well, no one wanted the Stalker Superman and stuff, but I'm like, no, it's still the Christopher Reeve Superman.
It literally is Christopher Reeve Superman. I do feel like whatever the actress's name in Superman Returns, I actually thought she was a pretty good Lois Lane.
Oh yeah, she was, and I will say this: Spacey was fantastic as Lex Luthor.
Wrong.
Yeah, I love that. That is so Lex. Or I love when the kid goes, "You're bald." And then Tavia asked, and by the way, I have to play this clip because you mentioned that movie.
Why did you say that, Dad?
Yeah. The last one was trying to do something different. It's just they didn't have someone as they didn't have a talentless hack. I mean,
yeah, I didn't want to say it, but yeah, like I give Rian Johnson points for trying something different, and I'm gonna get heat for this, but like visually, The Last Jedi is beautiful. Like visually, it's actually really nice looking, but Rian Johnson took a massive steaming doo-doo. I'm censoring myself for you. He took a massive steaming dump on Star Wars. He took all the toys that JJ handed him, broke them, and then handed them back to him.
No, you know what it is? He created the Gotham Knights of Star Wars. That's what it is.
Gotham Knights is still worse.
Gotham Knights is still worse, but
at least Last Jedi looks nice, and it's like visually it actually has some.
Visually, it's Star Wars. Story-wise, hell no. It was kind of funny.
Actually, I'd argue Last Jedi visually isn't really Star Wars. It's just visually it looks really nice.
Okay, that's fine. But yeah, it's like there was no reason to do anything of what Ruin Johnson did in that movie.
Ruin Johnson. That's what my friend calls him. Of his life.
Yeah. Which is sad because he's a talented director. It's just he wanted to subvert fan expectations and he subverted them too much.
There is subversion and then there is taking a massive steaming pile.
So you could say he's a subversive? Had to.
He's a substandard director. I'll say that.
Oh, he is. He definitely is.
Ryan Johnson, the best way I can categorize him is he is nowhere near as good of a director as he thinks he is.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I would describe Ryan Johnson.
And I love where he's talking about how he would be sad if his Star Wars trilogy, trilogy never got to see the light of day. And I'm like, you'd be the only one who'd be sad.
It's not going to see the light of day, so be sad.
It's not going to. So keep crying. But anyway, see, here's the thing, though. I acknowledge, going back to Matrix 4, the thing about it is that the reason why I liked it, beyond the story part, because yes, they played off a lot of nostalgia, and there were some parts where the CGI was a little funky, but at least the action scenes felt like Matrix.
No, they didn't. They didn't.
Oh, really?
Like they didn't.
Elaborate.
See, and this is a problem with modern CG. Like modern CG has no weight to it. Like I'm sorry, but like when they did the mirror goo, the mirror goo looked better in Matrix 1, and that's from Fraxon 1999. I really wanted to say an F-bomb, but I didn't because I respect you.
Thank you. But and yeah, I
like,
do agree.
I'm sorry. The CG from 1999 looks better than 2023. What the frick?
Yeah,
I'm trying.
I agree with you, Nick. I agree with you because that was one of the points that you brought up when we were talking about the Black Panther trailer. Is that when Shuri is moving across like the ship, at no point does it feel like she's a real person.
Like if you look at the CGI from 1999 when it's like on his fingers, like that goo seems to have weight to it. It kind of moves in a more realistic manner. And versus in 2023 when it happens, it looks very for one thing, the goo itself looks crappier. I'm really holding back, brother. Like
I appreciate it. Thank you.
The goo itself, it looks way too shiny. It doesn't look like it matches the scene that well. And it doesn't really seem to have as much weight or physics to it.
Another thing that I don't like about the Matrix trilogy is it's like the leading to it when the movie was coming out, because I believe it was Lana Wachowski was talking about how she changed the way they talk about taking the red pill because she didn't like how the right had like adopted it, and I'm like, well, that's stupid.
Yeah,
way to politicize your movie.
Like I know, there's kind of a modern interpretation about like saying the entirety of the Matrix is about transness, and I don't agree with that interpretation. If that's your headcanon, then by all means. But to try and have that be the agreed upon translation.
Well, it's not transness is what I'm talking about. It's like how she said she changed the red pill thing in Matrix 4 because she didn't want to because she didn't like how it was adopted by the right.
Well, that genie's been out of the bottle for 20 years, Lana. You can't really put that back.
Yeah, so that was another part of it where I was like, well, that's dumb. That is really stupid. Now you're changing stuff that's already you're changing the iconic part of the movie. It's kind of like changing. It's like changing Superman's S at this point.
I will say, the movie did. Normally, when I really don't like it when movies touch upon modern phones are ruining our lives and blah blah blah. As if I'm going to be positive, I will say this is the one exception where they did kind of like touch upon modern phones, social media, like they kind of clue that into like the Matrixy stuff because like the Architect's rant towards the end. I actually do feel like including that in the Matrix actually kind of works. Like,
yeah,
I'm trying to be fair here. I'm trying to be like fair.
And I appreciate that.
That is one addition to the story. And normally I don't like it because normally writers, when they try and include like social media and cell phones as like evil things, they totally miss the mark. But this time they're right on. And I think probably because it was Matrix anyway,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of like begging to include like the new editions of these things right here.
Yeah, that is like that is one thing I will say is that's a fine, like I give that a pass.
That's the one example of updating for the modern audience where it actually works.
Yeah, because like you got things like, for example, there's no payphones anymore. How do you account for that? Outside of like, oh, there's still payphones for some reason.
Yeah, it would be. Plus, they also explain as the payments in another way. It's just a different. It's just a newer version of the Matrix. So of course everything would be upgraded.
Yeah,
And I
because
like
because remember, every time the one is integrated back into the Matrix, they do a new version.
Mhm.
So who's to say this is the 7th version of the Matrix?
Now let me ask you this, Nick. What did you think in the Matrix 4 of having machine versus machine?
I'm kind of conflicted because the machines are kind of like a unimind. They don't really operate independently because like if the machines like operate, like the programs have autonomy, so that explains why there's exiles, but like individual machines don't really operate. Like Smith had to literally break from the system in order to be an individual. The machines are not really individuals. If they were individuals, then I could see some of them wanting to break away, but that is not the case.
I think they explained that what Neo did in 3 freed them.
That's not really what happened. That's not, what Neo did is he freed the Matrix from Smith. Honestly, he did what, like, here's really the irony of Matrix Revolutions is by Smith assimilating him, Neo was able to integrate his code back in the Matrix and basically do what he was always supposed to do anyway. So there was kind of a inevitability, like where he says like it is inevitable. He's not talking about Smith assimilating Neo. It's Neo assimilating his code back into the Matrix. It's kind of ironic when you think about it.
Yeah, the machine versus this machine. Yeah, it sounds like a good idea, Tavia. It's just you have to think of this idea in the context of the rules that the universe itself has. Because yeah, machine versus machine sounds cool until, like Nick explains, you factor in the rules that the universe has.
Yeah,
that's kind of that. It would be interesting if they did like an Animatrix Volume 2 that kind of explained all this stuff, though.
Like and like yeah, the recasting of stuff was kind of ridiculous. Like the new Morpheus was really stupid. I
didn't buy him being made Morpheus.
Like I would say it actually would have been more interesting if they literally would have done the same thing, except have Lawrence Fishburne be Morpheus. Because like imagine like the conflict when this new Morpheus comes and it looks exactly like Lawrence Fishburne. It's like the real Morpheus died like 50 years ago or some crap like that. Like that actually would have made for good storytelling. But a lot of this was people not coming back. So it's part of it was out of Lana's hands. So I'll give her benefit of the doubt on that.
And remember, Tavia, they have it. It's called the Unreal Engine demo. All right, so Teladia, your thoughts on Matrix 4? Did you watch it? Did you enjoy it and such? And I think he's muted, so he may not be able to answer, but we'll see.
I didn't get a chance to see Matrix 4.
Oh, really?
You are better off for it. I'm just gonna say it.
All right. My thing
also,
my thing is it's good for what it is. I get why you don't like it, Nick, and yeah, I agree that there are some there are some weaknesses of it. It's no Zack Snyder's Justice League, obviously.
No film is perfection other than that.
Thank you. I'm like, yeah, it's no on that level, but there are some things I enjoy in it. That's why.
And you're more than welcome to enjoy it. I mean, you're welcome to have a different opinion, even if it is wrong.
Yeah, and by the only reason why I keep saying there's only 3 is because it's fun. That's why.
Yeah, I was just so also I just wanted to briefly talk about the Matrix Online, which was like MMO that existed for a few years. It was a direct continuation of the Matrix from the Matrix 3. And from what I've been told, some story elements did actually make it into Matrix 4. Like, they acknowledged kind of some story beats. I'm not too familiar with it because, like, by the time that like I was able to play MMOs, the game was already discontinued.
Well,
there is. Oh.
No, I'm sorry. You were talking first.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to ask if you wanted to tell people about So remember the first time you came on the show and you talked about how you basically had the exact idea for the title of a Matrix fan fiction?
Actually, wouldn't it be better to show people?
Sure, go ahead.
All
Yeah.
right,
So
let me
and
just
by the
pull it
way,
up. Hold up, and I'll share my screen.
yeah, I'll just say, hang on. This is what Nick told me the first episode he ever came on.
No, say like just tell what I was telling him. What
All
I
right,
said
so
to them.
basically, years before Matrix 4 was announced, and by the title of Matrix 4 was Resurrections. So years before that, Nick wrote a fan fiction that was the sequel to Matrix 3 called Matrix Resurrections.
Oh, web is
Yeah, you
being
can get
slow.
royalties.
No, I won't. I'm gonna pull up Chrome.
Here, I can also pull it up too.
Do you have like the actual web address?
I have the thing saved. It's called the Matrix Resurrection. But
Wait, you actually bookmarked the thing?
Yeah.
Oh well, we'll show it then.
Yeah, here you go.
Oh wow!
Show the date. Show the date.
The date
Highlight
is published 2007. 2007.
That is a long time.
That's unbelievable, dude.
Yeah. Like it is something. I will.
Oh, and
say.
also here's another thing. How did they bring Trinity back when she was impaled and killed? I mean, you could say if they have the ability to grow human beings, then they could replace all the damaged tissue and such.
Yeah, because like they probably retrieved her body. Like honestly, it was only really a few hours old, so they hadn't really probably even started to decompose. Like it would probably be very easy to identify the crash site of Niobe's ship, and then they retrieved Niobe's body, Niobe Trinity's body, and then kind of like I'm sure they could heal her. If they could revive Neo, they could revive and kind of thing.
Yeah. Plus, again, going back to what I said before, they use the rules established by the universe in order to do that. Because again, if they can grow humans, and that's how they explain the pod people, I'm sure that they have the capacity to heal humans as well.
Also, like it's been established that it's been 70 years since the trilogy. How is Neo Trinity's body's not aged?
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, there you go. So, I mean, yeah, so that's something there. So, again, so that's our opinions on Matrix 4 and 3. Honestly, you guys can have your own opinions. That's fine. And Nick and I ourselves have our own opinions on the movies.
Like I said, you're welcome to have a different opinion about Matrix 4, even if it's the wrong opinion.
Yeah, so same reason why you're allowed to have your own opinions about Zack Snyder's Justice League, even if it's the wrong one. Exactly. I'm looking at you, Nerdette. But
we love you, Nerdette.
We love you, Nerdette. Yeah. So on this note, we're gonna call it. And okay, so where this is going is that next week we're gonna cover the Animatrix, which again is the anime series that basically expands on the story of the Matrix. And then after that, we'll return to our regular superhero content, which will be the Spawn movie from the 90s. And you can get that movie for free on Tubi. So, Nick, you don't have to sail the high seas. So we'll be talking about the 90s Spawn movie, which is really cool.
It is. It actually is a really good movie.
Yeah. So we'll cover that. And then we'll be back to covering our Dekamu movie. So basically next week is the last coverage of the Matrix.
Yes.
And then
we did talk about Enter the Matrix last week.
Yeah, we did briefly. So on that note, guys, well, first off, so to Teladia, where can everyone find you and what's coming out on your channel?
Well, you guys can find me on Twitter at Teladia Plays, on YouTube, and also on Twitter at Teladia Plays. I recently did a stream with Jared, and that was fun to do with him. We talked a lot of DC, and I will be posting my Suicide Squad Killer Justice League video either tomorrow or next week.
Yeah. And here's the link to Teladia's channel. I'll throw that, and then I'll get the one for Nick shared out there.
Yep,
Nick,
because I'm doing a live stream in about an hour. I had a friend of the show, Caster the Gravedigger, send me a care package, and it's been showed up my doorstep yesterday, and gonna be doing a live stream with him. I'm gonna be unboxing it and kind of showing off what he sent me and whatnot. It's gonna be a fun stream, doing a little bit of a hangout kind of thing. So if you guys want to come over and chat, Tevia, you're invited. Brown Destroyer, yeah, it'll be really sweet.
Yeah, and then in terms of for me, I have currently out a fan edit for Zack Snyder's Justice League, kind of celebrating it. And
do you have the link for it?
Yeah, I'll drop that right now, and then I'll put that.
Yeah.
It's called Zack Snyder's Justice League: The Golden Age of Heroes.
Suck it, Warner Brothers.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You know what? Yeah. I'll play that one more time. You might as well. And by the way, first, bright lights. Bright lights.
There's a reason why I didn't show my face really that much.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, it's like, well, now we can. I don't think we should do the whole sunglasses thing for the Animatrix. I don't think there's a reason to do it now.
Also, Courage says hi.
Hey, Courage. So
he's been hanging. He's been the co-host the whole time.
Yeah, where is it? Where is it? Again, this clip moved.
Yeah, second Warner Brothers.
There you go. So
have you ever had a dream, Jared, that you were so sure was real?
Yep, I did. So yeah, it's called My Love Life. But okay, so Nick. So,
self-burn. Those are rare.
Right down there, I put the link to the fan edit. You guys can let me know. I think that this was an upgrade to how I do my sound typically. It's still a little funky, but I'm working on it. But in terms of like it being super loud and peaking at the end, I fixed that issue.
Hey, practice makes perfect, brother.
Yeah, exactly. I'm learning, and plus it's fun, and it's doing pretty well so far. I'm doing a view count real quick, and then I'll end it up real quick just to get you guys hyped. This video is at 48 views. Actually, wait, it has to be up.
Not bad.
55 views.
Not bad, brother.
Yeah, exactly. So it's getting there. And my lowest lane is useless under 2 capes is at like 88. So that's nice. It's funny. Most people don't like lowest lane. I noticed.
It's either that or you got a bunch of hate watchers.
Which then again, I'm like, hey, it's still content. So there you go. Thank you.
Thank you for the view. Thank you for.
It's like the same. I said that once because someone kept dropping hate comments in my last lowest lane video, and I said you realize that the more you comment on the video, the more YouTube recommends it.
So that's why when like I see obvious stuff that just made to make me piss me off, I just don't even engage with it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So in terms of me, on Monday I'm dropping a discussion on Donny Cates's run on Venom. Wednesday I'm kind of like still figuring out what indie book I want to do. I might do some more Undiscovered Country by Scott Snyder and another Snyder that's awesome. And next, Under 2 Capes, we'll be discussing why why Jimmy Olsen is essential to Superman.
Oh, that's gonna do some numbers.
Yeah, because I figured, okay, let's do something different instead of saying this person's useless, this person's useful. How's that? There you go. Because he is very important to Superman. And that's basically what I got. Stay here, work, everyone. And we just escaped the Matrix. Yay! So let me just get to my conclusion. Yep. See you next week, everyone. As JJheat would say, Excelsior!